Welcome to the Therapy Trainings podcast, where we dive deep into essential topics for mental health professionals, counselors, and therapists. I'm excited to have you join me today for a companion episode to the course titled HIPAA Training, offered by Therapy Trainings. Now, I know what you might be thinking. HIPAA? Isn't that just a bunch of legal jargon? Well, yes and no. While it's true that HIPAA can feel overwhelming with its regulations and requirements, it's also a crucial part of our responsibility as mental health professionals. So stick with me as we unpack the essential elements of HIPAA, share some insights beyond what you might find in the course, and address common misconceptions that often cloud this important topic. In this episode, we'll focus on three key areas: the importance of HIPAA for mental health professionals, the main provisions of HIPAA that relate to our work, and how to effectively implement HIPAA guidelines in your practice. And of course, we'll throw in a few anecdotes and a sprinkle of humor along the way to keep it engaging. First off, let's talk about why HIPAA matters. HIPAA, or the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, was enacted in 1996 and is designed to protect patients' sensitive health information. As therapists, counselors, and mental health professionals, we're entrusted with our clients' most intimate thoughts and feelings. Maintaining their privacy is not just a legal obligation, it's also a fundamental part of building trust. Think about it. Would you feel comfortable sharing your deepest fears with someone who you knew wasn't committed to keeping your secrets safe? Probably not. In fact, one of the main objectives of HIPAA is to ensure that patients feel secure in sharing their information. When clients know that their data is being handled with care, they're more likely to open up and engage in the therapeutic process. So in our line of work, adhering to HIPAA isn't just about avoiding legal trouble. It's about fostering a safe environment for healing. Now, let's delve into the main provisions of HIPAA that pertain to mental health professionals. There are several key components that you need to be aware of, and I'll touch on a few of the most significant ones. First, we have the privacy rule. This rule establishes national standards to protect individuals' medical records and other personal health information. It gives patients rights over their information, including the right to access their records, request corrections, and receive an accounting of disclosures. As a therapist, this means that you must have a clear understanding of what constitutes protected health information, also known as PHI, and how to handle it appropriately. Let's imagine a scenario. You have a client who comes in for therapy and shares their history of trauma, and during one session, they express a desire to share their story with their family. They ask if you can send their session notes to their spouse. While it might seem like a good idea to facilitate that connection, you need to remember that you can't share any information without that client's explicit consent. The privacy rule is there to protect them from potential harm. Next, let's talk about the security rule. This rule lays out standards for safeguarding electronic protected health information, or EPHI. In our increasingly digital world, understanding how to secure this information is more important than ever. From using encrypted emails to secure file storage systems, there are many steps you can take to ensure that your client's data remains confidential. And here's a tip. Always be mindful of basic security hygiene. Ensure that your passwords are strong, update them regularly, and never share them. It sounds simple, but you'd be surprised how often these basic guidelines are overlooked. Now let's pivot to another crucial aspect of HIPAA, the breach notification rule. This rule requires covered entity TICLAS to notify affected individuals and the Department of Health and Human Services if there's been a breach of unsecured PHI. So what does this mean for you? If your practice experiences a data breach, it's not just a matter of putting out the fires. You have a legal obligation to inform your clients that their information may have been compromised. Imagine the fallout from a breach. Clients could lose trust in your ability to protect their information, which could ultimately damage your therapeutic relationship. This rule emphasizes the importance of proactive measures in securing sensitive data. Regular training and updates on best practices can help minimize risks. Now that we've covered some of the essential provisions of HIPAA, let's discuss how you can implement these guidelines effectively in your practice. First, take the time to familiarize yourself with HIPAA policies and procedures. It's not enough to just have a document sitting on a shelf. Make it a living part of your practice. Update it regularly and ensure that you and your staff are all on the same page. Next, invest in training. Therapy Trainings offers courses that can enhance your understanding of HIPAA, so consider taking advantage of those resources. Regular training sessions can help keep everyone aware of their responsibilities and the best practices for maintaining confidentiality. Additionally, develop clear protocols for handling PHI, whether it's physically, electronically, or verbally. For example, if you're using telehealth services, ensure that your platform is HIPAA compliant. When discussing sensitive information, be cautious about who might overhear your conversation. If you have a private practice, consider soundproofing your rooms for added confidentiality. Now, let's discuss some common misconceptions surrounding HIPAA. One that often comes up is the belief that HIPAA only applies to large healthcare organizations. In reality, HIPAA applies to any healthcare provider who transmits any health information in electronic form. This means that solo practitioners and small clinics are just as responsible for compliance. So if you're thinking, this doesn't apply to me, think again. Another misconception is that all communication with clients is covered under HIPAA. While HIPAA does protect PHI, it's essential to remember that not all conversations are considered confidential. For example, if you're discussing a client's case with a colleague without proper authorization, that could be a breach. Always be mindful of what you share and with whom. So, how do you combat these misconceptions? The best way is through education. Stay informed about HIPAA regulations and consider attending workshops or webinars. Engage in discussions with colleagues about best practices. Sharing knowledge is key to fostering a culture of compliance and understanding. As we wrap up today's episode, I want to leave you with some thought-provoking insights. HIPAA isn't just a set of rules to follow. It's an invitation to create a culture of trust and respect in your practice. By embracing these regulations, we're not only protecting our clients, but also enhancing the therapeutic alliance. I encourage you to take the insights from today's episode and make them actionable in your daily practice. Review your current policies and procedures, check in with your colleagues, and invest in ongoing training. And remember, resources like the HIPAA training course from Therapy Trainings can provide you with the tools you need to ensure compliance while enhancing your professional practice. Thank you for tuning in to the Therapy Trainings podcast. If you found value in today's discussion, please consider visiting therapytrainings.com to explore more courses that can elevate your practice. Together, we can create a safe and supportive environment for all our clients. Until next time, keep striving for excellence in your practice and remember the power of confidentiality in therapy.